Have you ever wondered why we humans are so drawn to space exploration? We've made incredible strides, and the concept of colonizing the Moon and Mars is becoming a reality. But there's one planet that seems strangely neglected despite being much closer to Earth than Mars: Venus. Why is that? Venus, a planet that shares many similarities with Earth, is often overlooked in the rush to explore other worlds. Despite its proximity to Earth, why does Mars captivate our attention so much more? Today, we'll explore this question, examine the startling similarities between Venus and Earth, and uncover why Venus may hold some of the most important lessons about our own future. Venus and Earth, two rocky planets with striking similarities. Both have a diameter close to each other. Venus is just a hair smaller at about 12,104 kilometers, compared to Earth's 12,742 kilometers. Venus's mass, too, is around 81.5% of Earth's, making it the closest in size to our own planet in the solar system. Despite these similarities, Venus's atmosphere and surface conditions couldn't be more different. But before we dive into the reasons we don't explore Venus, let's appreciate how eerily similar these two planets once were. It's believed that Venus could have once been Earth-like, with oceans, a temperate climate, and perhaps even life. However, Venus's atmosphere is predominantly made up of carbon dioxide, which has trapped the sun's heat in a runaway greenhouse effect, turning the planet into a hellish inferno. Surface temperatures soar to around 465 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt lead. And with an atmospheric pressure 90 times greater than Earth's, Venus is a place where life as we know it could never survive. Could Earth face the same fate? Are we witnessing the early stages of Venus's transformation here on Earth, as climate change accelerates and our own greenhouse gases build up? This is one of the most urgent questions we must answer as we study Venus. Understanding Venus's transformation could offer us vital clues on how to prevent our own planet from undergoing a similar fate. Despite its proximity to Earth, Venus is one of the most challenging planets to explore. The extreme temperatures, crushing atmospheric pressure, and toxic gases make it an inhospitable place for spacecraft to land or even survive for extended periods. In fact, Venus has been visited by probes only 36 times in history. Yet, very few of these missions have been successful. The Soviet Union's Venera probes were the pioneers, managing to land on Venus's surface and send back valuable data. In the 1960s and 70s, missions like Venera 7 and Venera 9 provided the first direct data from Venus's surface, showing us images and gathering crucial information about the planet's atmosphere. Yet, these missions were few and far between, especially compared to Mars exploration. Given Venus's closeness to Earth, you might wonder why we're so focused on Mars. Why does Mars attract so much more attention from scientists, engineers, and even private companies like SpaceX? To understand this, we need to look at the fundamental differences between Venus and Mars in terms of their habitability and exploration. Mars is smaller than Venus, with a diameter of only 6,779 kilometers. However, its surface is much more temperate compared to Venus. Mars is cold and dry, but it doesn't have the oppressive heat and pressure of Venus. The Martian atmosphere is thin and unbreathable, but it doesn't have the corrosive sulfuric acid clouds of Venus. Mars also offers the possibility of past water. Evidence suggests that Mars once had liquid water, with valleys, riverbeds, and even ancient oceans carved into its surface. Water, the key ingredient for life as we know it, is something we are desperately searching for. In contrast, Venus has no liquid water and no viable way of sustaining life. Moreover, Mars offers the potential for human colonization in the future. While the challenges are immense, the idea of building a colony on Mars doesn't seem as far-fetched as it once did. Elon Musk's SpaceX mission to make humanity a multi-planetary species is focused on transforming Mars into a habitable environment, even proposing terraforming the planet to make it more Earth-like. This vision of a second home for humanity is one of the driving forces behind our push for Mars exploration. Venus, while fascinating, presents an entirely different set of challenges. The atmosphere is a toxic soup of carbon dioxide, sulfuric acid, and other gases, creating a greenhouse effect that traps heat in a cycle that is impossible to break. This results in the planet being the hottest in the solar system, despite being farther from the Sun than Mercury. The lack of water and its extreme surface conditions make it almost impossible to imagine colonizing Venus, let alone studying it in detail. Mars, on the other hand, despite its own difficulties, is a more favorable target for exploration and colonization. The thin atmosphere of Mars and its lower gravity make landing probes and even humans much more feasible than on Venus. Plus, Mars is considered to have a more stable surface with evidence of past water activity, which makes it a more attractive candidate for future exploration. Despite the hostile conditions, Venus is a planet of immense scientific interest. Its geological activity, volcanoes, mountain ranges, and signs of plate tectonics, suggests that Venus could have once had a much more Earth-like climate. Could Venus have been home to oceans and life? What led to the planet's transformation into the hellish world we see today? The study of Venus's geological past could provide valuable insights into the evolution of rocky planets. Could Venus's fate serve as a warning to Earth, highlighting the dangers of runaway climate change? Scientists are still trying to unlock the mysteries of Venus's surface, with future missions like NASA's Veritas and ESA's ENVISION aiming to study Venus's geology and atmosphere in more detail. Venus's runaway greenhouse effect is one of the most frightening phenomena in the solar system. The idea that Earth could one day face a similar fate is something that we must take seriously. Venus's extreme temperatures and uninhabitable conditions are the result of an unchecked greenhouse effect. As Earth continues to warm due to human activity, scientists are concerned about the long-term implications for our planet's climate. Could Earth's climate eventually spiral out of control, as Venus's did? This is why exploring Venus is so critical. Understanding how Venus's atmosphere evolved, and how it reached the point where it became hostile to life, could help us predict and prevent similar changes here on Earth. The idea of colonizing Mars, while still a distant dream, is one of the most ambitious projects in human history. Elon Musk's SpaceX, along with NASA's Artemis program, is working tirelessly to make this vision a reality. However, the road to Mars is fraught with challenges. From radiation exposure to extreme temperatures, Mars poses a serious test for human survival. But unlike Venus, it holds a glimmer of hope, water in the form of ice and evidence of a more hospitable past. Mars's potential as a second home for humanity has captured the imagination of many, leading to an influx of research, funding, and technological advancements aimed at making life on Mars possible. But even as we look to the red planet, we cannot forget about Venus. Its lessons on climate change, geological history, and planetary evolution are just as important for our future as our efforts to reach Mars. While Venus may not be a likely candidate for colonization, it remains one of the most important planets to study. The lessons it holds about climate change, geological activity, and planetary evolution are critical to our understanding of not only the solar system but also the future of our own planet. Venus may not be the next frontier for human colonization, but it should not be forgotten. As we venture into the stars, let's not ignore the planet closest to Earth that could hold the key to our survival.